Hello everybody, that may not have been a chant, but it was what I've been feeling for the last couple of days. For those of you who didn't see the chat, that is music we were playing before stream or while we're waiting for the ads to go through. That was Sawyer Hill, a artist, very young artist, who I found through TikTok and is kind of blowing up a little bit, and just listen to some of that music. Some of that voice is incredible. It's an absolutely incredible voice, and really enjoyed diving deeper into his music, and really encourage you guys to check that out if you like that kind of music. There's another artist that I want to play a little bit of, probably next stream or after the break. I'm not sure which one. Who's a guy from elsewhere. I can't remember exactly where he's from, but he's a guy who immigrated here and didn't speak any English at all. And when he got here, and now he's just listening to Johnny Cash sing. It's absolutely incredible. So that's a different artist. But I've been diving a little bit more into folksy art lately, or folksy music lately, and it's been a blast. It's been really enjoyable. So I don't want to play too much music, because especially with streaming on YouTube, although I was playing that through YouTube Music, so it might have been okay, but I can get punched in the nose real hard by YouTube if I'm playing music that they don't want me to play. So we gotta be careful. But welcome on in, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. This is what we've been working on last stream, and what we're gonna see if we can finish tonight. I don't know if we're gonna be able to finish it, but we're gonna see how close we get. This is the War Augur from the Mount Haven faction in the game Warcrow, but it's just a beautiful miniature in and of himself, and we got a lot of work done on him last week. So welcome on in. I hope you're all doing well. One thing that we're gonna do is make some of the shadows in the yellow a little bit more intense, and I also want to start adding in some additional color into those shadows. So we're just going to be going in with our brush here, our golden maple size 2 Kolinsky sable, which we're continuing to test here, and we're just going to keep on working on this and work in a mixture of this darker orangey yellow and some purple, and use that purple to not only drop the value of the yellow, i.e. make it darker, because it's a little bit more on the other side of the color wheel from yellow. So mixing these two together will drop the value. Is a good way to make shadows that aren't really flat. So if you use colors from the other side of the color wheel when you're trying to mix up shadows for something, it can make things much darker without making them look boring. So we're going to be using some of that here, and add in some purples into the shadows for the yellow, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. It may not be distinctly purple at the end of this, and that's fine, but as long as the shadows don't look flat and boring, right? Because that's what happens when you add in things like black in other dark neutral colors to create shadows. They end up looking really boring shadows. So we're going to try and avoid that by adding in some purple here. Use some of our color theory knowledge to make these shadows more interesting, less boring. Because there's nothing so bad as trying to paint a boring miniature, right? It's the weekend, and we just published the go live on a major project today, so I'm feeling a huge relief of stress. Oh, that's fantastic, Cook Cleaner. Congratulations on going live. I hope that it goes well. I hope nothing hits the fan during the go live, but inevitably something always does. But I hope in this case it does not, and that you are able to enjoy your weekend. I know going live on big projects is always stressful, but as long as it's going well, man, bask in that, bask in that. Enjoy that time, because that's huge. Less than a week until we have a team. God, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. Why does time goes by so quickly, Jen? Why does it go by so quickly? It's not fair. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I know I mentioned it before, but this is a dwarf from a war game called Warcrow. And we've been having a lot of fun painting him with some really cool colors. Just trying to make him kind of vibrant and punchy. I did pick up some more of his faction today, because the official street release date, I believe, was today. So I dropped by one of the game stores around here called Rune and Board, and picked up some more of this faction, because they are really, really cool. Love the colors, love the design. It's kind of an partially Asian themed design, but also still very geometric in a way that a lot of fantasy dwarves are. So they've done a really cool job of blending those two together. And I've been having a lot of fun painting him. Because life's rude, yeah, exactly. Business already came back with changes and feedback last night, this morning. Having to do the changeover, which is a pain. Luckily, my team doesn't have any on-call, so I'm saving the money. Wonderful, excellent. Which is right by you now. Yes, yeah, they are not far from y'all at all anymore. The new location's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool location. Yeah, I just ducked in and ducked out because I wanted to make sure I was in time for stream. So I didn't spend too much time there. Just enough time to hop in, see if they had these guys, and then hop back out. But if anybody has any questions about miniature painting in general, Warhammer, Necromunda, anything like that, please feel free to ask. That is why we're here. We're here to answer questions. We're here to make suggestions if you are working on your own projects and you want some advice or anything like that. I've been painting miniatures for about 26 years at this point. I've been streaming since 2018, answering questions. I teach at multiple conventions around the United States. Teach classes on miniature painting, both locally and at conventions. So the next convention I'm going to be at is Origins over in Columbus, Ohio, on the third weekend of June. So I am excited to be there once again. It's one of the main conventions that I go to and teach at. So we can still see there's a little bit of blue. Some blue got stuck onto this piece of the model here, so we're still trying to work that up. One of the frustrating things about yellow is it is a very weak pigment. So using yellow, like having to cover up other pigments with yellow is very difficult. So I'm using really small stippling actions here rather than try full-on brush strokes, because stippling will deposit larger amounts of pigment where my brush is touching, rather than a regular brush stroke, which will more evenly divide pigment in here. I want a little bit more pigment there because I'm trying to cover up that that oopsie with the turquoise. And once I get that done, then I can, you know, smooth things out a little bit. Have I ever painted up Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff? I have not. The models are really, really cool. The models are cool. They're really well made. I don't care about space superheroes. Like, the Marvel movies are good for the most part, but whenever it's come to like superhero games, whether they're board games, RPGs, video games, miniatures games, I don't care. Like, there's nothing interesting about capes to me. So there have been a couple things like the Deadpool with Hydra Agent Bob and the food truck. I thought that was really cool. I'd totally paint that, but I never picked it up. But I have seen some incredible Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff out there. So I know the minis are fantastic. I know they can be painted up really well. I'm just trying to be honest. I have zero interest in superheroes. To be honest, games like Destiny, more like City Heroes, stuff like that. Just superhero games. There's nothing has ever interested me about superhero games of any kind. Destiny I played for a little bit when it first came out, and I didn't. It was really cool. I just didn't get sucked into it, and I'm one of those lameoids who I prefer single player games and going through a story rather than grinding for achievements and things like that. But that's just my personality. Marvel Ultimate Alliance was cool, I thought. Yeah, they've got a lot of cool games. I can't bring up any interest to play or paint them at all. Played as a kid. Nice. Yeah, for whatever reason, I just can't get into capes games. Like, I'm just not interested at all. So, but you know, that's me. I have tons of friends who play Marvel Crisis Protocol, lots of other capes games, and they have a great time, and that's fantastic. Come play some Rocket League. I played Rocket League for a little while, and I am 42. I do not have the reflexes or coordination to do that. Oh, let's see. Better parking is true. Painting my exorcist all week. Nice. Finally did the glue up on the dice tray. It's drying overnight. Then I could start final cleanup and put a finish on it. Nice, Cook Crafter. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to try that trick. Good. Yeah, please do. Your painting skills are epic. Do you airbrush as well? I do some airbrushing, but mostly when I use airbrush, it's mostly just priming the model and then varnishing it afterwards. I don't do a lot of airbrushing on the actual models. There are some techniques that I want to learn on larger models like busts and things like that, where it's a little harder to get smooth blends, that you can do really fine blends with really low PSI and super thin paint out of an airbrush, and I do want to learn that. But on small figures like this, I mainly just use a brush. You're 36. I am jealous of your reflexes at 36. If you can competently play Rocket League. I'm starting an Iron Warrior army and just bought Chaos Terminators. What should I buy next? Do you what do you have for the Iron Warriors already? because I'm gonna go off vibes because I don't play the game. I don't play 40k anymore. I haven't played 40k since 7th edition. I don't see myself starting anytime soon, just because I don't want to get into big long games. I prefer smaller games. But I would say probably Chaos Legionnaires with the Iron Warriors upgrade kit to make them, give them like Iron Warriors parts and pieces like that. I think that'd be really cool. Pinball leagues. That's cool. There's a big pinball museum here in the Portland area that a bunch of my friends have started going to for things like birthday parties and the like. I've yet to go. I haven't been available for any of their parties when they've had them, unfortunately. So what is it called? I'm gonna have to look it up, but yeah, there's a big pinball arcade and museum here in the Portland area that I've even seen them on TikTok. You made a cabinet? Oh, that's cool. Trot a nice hi from Peru. Hey, welcome. Thanks for being here. Do I 3D print models? I use 3D printed models. I don't have the space for a 3D printer myself. I live in a very small apartment at the moment, so I don't have a place to safely do resin printing. Otherwise, I would. If I had a place where I'd feel comfortable setting up a resin 3D printer and had plenty of ventilation, yeah, I'd totally do that. But I don't, so I don't bother. I have tons of friends who have good resin 3D printers and filament printers, and whenever I need something printed that way, then I can do that. I can pay them for it, but believe me, if I had room for a 3D printer, I would be running a print farm. Like, I'd have multiple printers. I'd be printing stuff out. I'd be selling it on Etsy. I'd be making it work for me, but I don't have the room or the space to be able to do that. It's maybe someday. But 3D printing, it's been fascinating watching that get bigger and bigger and more more powerful, more and more capable. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the thing, Resident. It stinks. Like the resin printing and even the filament printing can stink, and I don't want that in my office because that's where I work from home, and that's the only place I'd be able to put it is in my office right next to my computer that I'm sitting at all day. So I don't need those fumes, and I don't need that. Excuse me, and I don't need that stink around me all the time. A digital cabinet? Oh, okay. Friends, the most important part of wargaming, just slightly edging out money. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, having friends who have cool toys, yeah, that's a big part of any hobby. Whether it's wargaming or whether it's sewing, anything like that. Having friends who have the cool toys, yeah, that's big. That's real big. 100%. Yeah, resin printing smells awful. It's not good, which is why I would want like a garage, or I'd want like a yard where I can put like a shed that I convert to be weatherized and everything, controlled environment. Because you need you generally need a fairly warm but not hot environment for a reliable resin printing, because the resin flows at different rates and adheres at different rates depending on the ambient temperature. You could build things like a grow tent or things like that to help control the temperature, but it unless you've got really good ventilation, it can still be a problem. The smell anyway. So I don't want to be sitting next to that all the time. Okay, so we've gone in, we've pushed up the highlights in a couple areas a little bit more. We've definitely pushed down the shadows in a couple areas that are definitely more sheltered from the light. So our highlights and our the folds are far more distinct than they were, which is what we were shooting for. See if we can work in a little bit of a shadow here for the overhang. Get a little bit of a drop shadow underneath the belt here, just so that it looks more three-dimensional. And that's something that you learn about painting minis is, you know, they're already three-dimensional, right? But they're so small that light doesn't bounce off of them as naturally in the way that it does on a full-sized figure. So you still have to go in. You still have to go in and artificially add highlights and shadows so that the miniature appears more realistic, because light isn't going to naturally bounce off of these surfaces the same way they were if it was on a full-sized person. So that's why we add shadows, that's why we add highlights, because we want this to appear to be somewhat realistic, right? But in order to do that, we have to over-exaggerate everything. Let's see. It is fun, pretty mini fanny packs. I can't wait to see your Sisters of Battle with mini fanny packs. That's going to be fantastic. After cleaning out the garage, I'm probably going to build myself a cabinet and move my printers out there. I'll just need a heating pad for the winter months. Yeah, there you go. But I just made my sister a cosplay sword with a 3D printer and my painting skills. That's awesome. Miss? Wait. Gotcha. Gotcha. Love that. Yeah, it's really cool. All right, so we've got the yellow down. We've got that. We've got time to do some more of the gold areas, I think. So last time we did the decoration in the middle of his belt with our kind of our standard gold non-metallic metal recipe. So we're gonna get that recipe out again. We'll do some more areas of gold non-metallic metal here. One of the things about these particular dwarves that some of you may not be aware of is you know, they still work with metal, right? But one of the things they do is a lot of origami based shapes and a lot of like you know, fanciful folding, things like that. And what my understanding is they actually fold metal like it's paper. It's one of their art forms, or one of the things they do for decoration is actually fold metal, much like they would for origami. So then, you know, you've got these metal decorations that are, you know, like folded paper or folded belts or ribbons, and I think that's really cool. It's a cool way to give them some unique feel while still making them feel more like artists and not just artisans, and I like that. I think that's really cool. I'm also making tiny bubbles to come out of the pipe organ and printing roller skate wheels. Nice, that's awesome. That's going to be really cool. That's going to be really, really cool. Okay, so we're going to go in with our shadow, and we're going to mix in our mid-tone here. And these chain links, we need to get some mid-tone on them. We want to leave some shadow in here, so we want, because painting non-metallic metal is all about contrasting dark and light. So we're working up our mid-tone here and leaving shadow in a few different spots so that we can work on that contrast and have that. Is this zoomed in as far as it can go? No. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit more. Maybe allow it to have a little bit more clarity for y'all. I'm trying really hard to stay in the field of view of the camera. You know, I've had problems with that in the past, so I readjusted everything so I can hold this a little bit more naturally in the field of view of the camera. Now we're just working on the mid-tone, bringing that mid-tone up a little bit. And we want the shadow, we want the mid-tone to be visible and obvious here. We need it to contrast against the darker shadow. Gotta drop. Have a great stream. Hey, Cookcrafter, you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your freedom until Monday. Hopefully Monday doesn't come with too much you needing to do on that new release. I'm just gonna do a real small bit. So, Resident X, are y'all doing anything special for Mother's Day? I mean, you being a mom and all. I'm going to be picking up my mom some flowers and then going over to their place for family lunch. It's like what I normally do and make sure she's going to have a good day. But hopefully y'all are doing something, even if it's just, you know, family time. That's super important. Tomorrow the girls and I are meeting my mom at Vault 13 to follow coffee. Oh, cool! I want to go check that out. I keep seeing stuff on TikTok and Instagram for that, and I haven't been yet. I hope y'all have a great time. Tell me how it is. Is anybody else painting with you, other than you doing your sisters? Are the girls painting anything? I remember them having stuff they wanted to start. I don't remember if they continued on with that or not. Boone is nice. We've been sewing. Oh, we've been sewing cosplay costumes. That's awesome. I've got several pieces of a very, very cheap, basic wizard costume on the way for the Oregon Renaissance Fair that I'm finally going to try and go to next month. I've never been. I keep wanting to go, and then I keep forgetting about it, and then it's just gone. So I've got... Oh, this year I'm going to try really hard to go. Got a few different things, and of course, you know, it's all super cheap polyester crap, but, you know, slowly invest in more and better stuff as we go. We're going to that too. Nice, excellent. Yeah, that'll be really cool. Maybe if you guys are going at the same time I am, we can coordinate something, but I don't know exactly which weekends I'm going to be able to go. I'm gone the third weekend. I'm going to be at Origins. But I know it's every weekend in July, so I'll have to think about Which one is there a particular weekend that's best for like wizard-like figures? Because I don't want to ruin like a purely historical weekend, because I don't know if they like theme the weekends to some have more fantasy and others don't. So this is part of what non-metallic metal is. It is going in and making tiny adjustments, tiny little dots of paint here and there when you've got the muscle control for it, and trying to get it to start reading consistently as metal. But that it takes time. And one of the frustrating things about non-metallic metal is it looks like crap until it's done. Okay, that's one of the frustrating things about non-metallic metal, is it does not look good until it's done or nearly done, and that can be really frustrating. So that's where a lot of people get really frustrated, and totally justifiably get justifiably frustrated, like, well, I've been working on this for a while and it just looks like crap. Yeah, it's going to do that until it clicks, unfortunately. But the more you practice it and the more you do it, the quicker your brain realizes when you're going in the right direction versus the wrong direction, because you start recognizing where you are in the process. And then, it starts, the ugly phase becomes less ugly because you know where you are. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but that is what I have found to be the case. The first weekend is Magic themed weekend. Okay. That means I need to hurry up and make my wizard staff. Or find my wizard staff. I've got everything else kind of on the way. But some kind of a wizard staff, even if I'm using like foam and 3D printed parts and stuff like that, I still need to put that together. Shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see how we do. Is this for D&D? No, not a dumb question at all, Jensen. No worries. This could absolutely be used for D&D. It is actually intentionally it's meant for a war game called Warcrow, which is a tabletop war game where you've got a small army and your opponent's got a small army. It's like Warhammer, and you fight over scenarios and things like that. But you could absolutely use this guy as a D&D character, 100%. I don't know if you'd want to spend, what is it, $27 to buy one figure. So it might not be that much of a great investment for just a D&D mini, but he is pretty cool. He might be worth it depending on how cool your concept is. But you could absolutely use him, and if I end up not playing Warcrow very often, I totally use most of these dwarves and stuff for Warcrow. This is another Warcrow mini that I'm working on. This guy's kind of an assassin with throwing blades, but he's also in like full plate. So he would be like a dex build, but in heavy armor, which would be an interesting kind of build. But you could totally use this mini for that, or you could use him as like an enemy monster, some like kind of animated suit of magic armor, and he's throwing blades. Who knows? But you could absolutely use these minis for that. 100%. Hey, love your work. Did you find your eyes getting worse over the years painting? I have myself. Yeah, and that's I haven't noticed it as much close up, but farther away I do need glasses for reading things farther away. I'm getting more and more nearsighted. I was farsighted for a long time growing up, but also it's not just as I age, I also have type 2 diabetes due to my own, my own bad habits of life. And that also can damage your eyes over time if you're not taking care of your blood sugar. So that also takes a toll on it. Now, right now, I can see most things really close, no problem. However, if I'm getting into like really, really even finer detail than what I'm doing now, or if I want even finer control, I use things like this, and this is not expensive. This is like $15 on Amazon for different a whole bunch of different lenses, and this is like a 2x lens right now. So I use this to get in really, really tight with a lot of my painting, and that's been really helpful because my normal vision can't get in this with this much focus anymore. And that's just part of growing older, and also having a chronic illness. But I hope you're just dealing with just getting older. But yeah, it's normal. It is normal. But don't worry about it. Get yourself some of these and embrace the cringe, man. Embrace the cringe. We are elder millennials. And cringe is kind of our way of life because we don't care what other people think about us as much anymore. I'm too old to give a shit what people think about me as much anymore. I would rather be happy and be cringe than not be cringe and just be, unhappy and miserable. Cringe is happiness for a lot of people. Because it means I don't care anymore. I'm not worried about what other people think of me. I mean, there's a certain extent where you should still be, you still want people to think well of you. But I'm not gonna sacrifice my happiness to appear cool to a bunch of fetuses that are barely out of high school or even barely out of college. I need to embrace it 100%. Absolutely. 100%. Embrace the cringe. It's okay. Life is more enjoyable when you're enjoying the cringiness. Why do you think so many dads and parents enjoy embarrassing their kids so much? Because we don't care anymore. And it's funny. You don't want to be cruel, obviously. We don't want to be cruel. You got an Amazon glass off of Amazon, but I found the hand-eye coordination to the glass word. Yes, that is something. Now, that's one of the advantages of why I like having this versus one that sits in front of me. For whatever reason, the one that sits in front of me, because I have to... This is what I think it is. Because I have to coordinate where my eyes are in relation to the magnifying glass, and I have to coordinate where my hands are in coordination with the magnifying glass. That's two different arcs of movement that I have to coordinate, and that makes it very difficult. Whereas with this is attached to my head, right? It's attached to my head, so as I move, it moves with me, so I don't have to adjust for where my head is in coordination with everything else. All I have to do is adjust the coordination of my hands. So I think that makes this, using a head-mounted one, a lot easier because it's less things that you're having to mechanically control. It's less things that you're having to account for in terms of movement. Does that make sense at all? "100% might invest in one of these things." Yeah, absolutely. And if that, if that doesn't make a difference, then yeah, okay, you're just gonna have to get used to it. But these are really cheap. Like I paid like $15 for this, and I've bought multiple pairs of it so that I could have one in my travel, one on my desk, and an extra one. So yeah, great Mexican brunch place on Sunday that I don't know. We'll play it by ear. That sounds awesome, Resident. That still sounds great. And see, I can get real delicate and real... I still miss. I still miss where I meant to put paint, but I can be a lot more precise with it when I can get in real close here. And my head's probably in the frame, isn't it? My head in the frame? No, but the glasses are. I was probably blocking it that entire time. Sorry. Need to dip. Thanks for the advice. I'll catch you another time. Hey, no worries. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks for dropping by. Always appreciate people dropping by, even if they don't have any questions or even if they're just here for a couple minutes. Always appreciate you dropping by. If anybody has any questions about mini painting or Warhammer or Necromunda or anything like that, please feel free. Feel free to ask. Answering questions is kind of like the point of the stream. I'm not such an incredible painter that I'm here to show off how good of a painter I am. I'm here to answer questions if people have them about where they are in mini painting right now, and then we can continue to improve together. That's the idea. Yeah. Does that one long strand not bug you personally? I mean, yeah, it does. If it gets in the way, then yeah, it'll bug me. But right now, it's not causing much of a problem. I kind of want to see what happens to it, but it's not causing much of a problem right now. But if it does cause a problem, then I'll just trim it off. It's really important that you never yank hairs out of a brush. You always cut them. And you cut them as cleanly as you can, because you want the majority of that brush to still be in the bristle, or you want the most of that hair to still be in the bristles, so that it still does its job of keeping everything kind of together and bunched up. Because as soon as you yank a bristle out, that's gonna loosen up all of the other bristles, and you can start shedding bristles real fast, because it can ruin the bind, or the cluster that all the bristles are in. So never yank a bristle out. Always trim it. Yeah, and after our break here in about 10 minutes, we're going to do Community Spotlight, which is where we bring up all of the pieces of work that the members of the community have submitted on our Discord, stuff they're doing in work in progress, and stuff they've completed since last time they updated us. We're just gonna go over all that and see what everybody's been doing. We try to do that most Fridays. Ew, look at that. That's a pretty cool Gorget there. It's pretty sweet. Hey, Dig Batty, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. As well as can be. Well, good. Good. I'm happy that you are as well as you can be. Hopefully that is quite well. It's not always the case, but I hope in this situation it is pretty darn good. The overscale of my life wellness is pretty darn well. Good. That is awesome. Okay, let's see. See if that got this mixed up enough. Yeah, not bad. Is both Wizards Orb? They are both Wizards Orb. That's not what I needed. Another one. Huh. Do I not have Arcane Bolt out anywhere near? Yes, I don't. Okay. And Kraken skin it is. Oh. No, this is off screen, so people don't know what we're working on, but this is what we're working on. What camera do you use for your setup? It's so clear close up. This is a Sony A6400. So it's a mirrorless camera that I saved up for a long time to buy. And I bought it not just for streaming, but also for making like YouTube videos and the like, because this camera, this particular model of camera, I specifically got because it doesn't have the 30-minute limit on taking videos. A lot of cameras, and especially phones, have a 30-minute limit on their ability to take videos for tax purposes in Europe. It's because they're taxed differently if they can take more than 30 minutes for whatever reason. So I made sure that the camera I got could take longer than 30 minutes because I didn't want to have to stop. If I'm doing like a full painting tutorial, I didn't want to have to stop every 30 minutes and restart the camera. But yeah, I use a Sony A6400. And then here I've got an eMeet 4K that I got off the TikTok shop. And that works pretty well. I like the face cam. All right, we're going to take our break in about 3 minutes. It's going to be a 3 to 5 minute break, and after that's done, we'll then come back and do our community. Yeah, you're very welcome. We'll do our community spotlight when we're back from our break. So I try to take a break every hour or so for multiple reasons. Not the most of which is, you know, wanting to hydrate, stand up, walk around a little bit, so I'm not, you know, sitting in my butt for 3 hours without walking around, and then also using, you know, doing things like using the bathroom, stuff like that. You know, important stuff, important things. So we work in scheduled breaks for all that to make sure that they get taken and I don't miss them. Now I still miss them. I still forget to take the breaks every now and then, so we try to keep close there. What just happened? Why did I lose? Am I still okay over on I don't know. TikTok, are we still okay? Are we still good? It says it's trying to reconnect multiple times. Twitch, are we still good? I'm gonna snooze the brakes here real quick. Are we still okay? Can those of you on Twitch still see and hear me? Still here? Okay. Good. YouTube, we still good over here? Looks like it. For whatever reason, TikTok's not... I don't see any warnings or anything on TikTok. I don't know why it wouldn't be... I don't know why it wouldn't be working. What is going on? Trying to reconnect now. I don't know. All right. I snoozed the break, so we're just gonna wait. But let's keep on keeping on. So that should be dry now. What I'm gonna try and do is some really thin paint here. Use some really light pressure to get some edge highlights on some of these sides. It's basically a D20. It's a dodecahedron, I believe is what it's called. So it's basically a D20. It's a 20-sided polyhedral down here. So I don't know if that is a homage to, like, he's got a magical item that's a 20-sided die, and the 20-sided die is used in the combat. So that means he can kind of predict the future with his 20-sided die, and he can see what results are. I'm pretty sure that's what the inside joke is. The unspoken joke there. Are we back? Okay, it looks like we're back over on the Tiki Talks. Welcome back. Still got a couple minutes before we take our break, so we're just going to keep on working on. Yeah. We'll leave that there for the now. I think we're going to paint the feather these same colors here. Just so that we have this the color here, here, and then we're going to have the book. We'll have the book's cover either be that color as well, or we'll have the magical writing be that color. So that we have all three. So we've got 3 points on the model that have that color, just to make it a little bit harmonious. Because just having one spot, this can be very distracting. It's still in the same kind of hue family as the turquoise, but because it's more of a jade, it can still pop out a little bit. So having a couple different spots for it to be on the miniature, other than just down here, will help make the miniature look a little bit more put together. All right, we're going to take our break here in just a second. I'm just going to get the rest of this base coat on the feather here. We're going to go kind of sloppy because it doesn't need to be nice and clean right now. We're going to be painting over this quite a bit, so we're good. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let that dry. We're gonna set that down right here. So everybody can kind of see they're coming in. And then we're gonna go take our break. So we'll be back in 3 to 5 minutes, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around. Appreciate it. If you got to head out, go for it. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, we are back. Thank y'all for sticking around. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the break. My cat appreciated the attention because she is a bit of an attention whore. So if I am not paying attention to her regularly, she starts scratching at the door, demanding that I give her the attention she so richly deserves by doing nothing in this house but demanding more attention. And snuggles. She does give snuggles. She is a lap cat for certain. Every time I sit down, as soon as I sit down, she's crawling up into my lap, looking for more attention, which I don't mind. You see, I'm using the side of my brush here. Using the side of my brush and some fairly thick paint to just drag the paint along the raised portions of the feather so that the paint isn't getting down in between them and making all those dark areas lighter, because I don't want that. I want only the raised areas to catch light. So I just use the side of my brush for that. I'm painting while you're painting. Excellent, excellent. That's a wonderful way to do things. As soon as we're done here, we're going to go into our community spotlight and hop around and see how people are doing. See what people have been going on. So if you have anything that you want to show off for the community and you haven't posted it in the Discord yet, you still have an opportunity to hop into the Discord and post your current works in progress or your completed projects in our works in progress and completed projects channels. So if that is something you want to do, you still got some time. If that's not something you want to do, that's perfectly fine too. No one is required. No one is required to show off what they've been working on, but I want you to know that if you've been working on something, I'm proud of you. Regardless of how good it is, regardless of where it is in your process, regardless of whether or not it fits your vision, I'm still proud that you're putting in the time and you're putting the effort. Love the non-metallic metal gold. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy with it so far. Still have to do both shoulder pads here, and then we're gonna do non-metallic steel for these little plates down here and for the nib of his brush. And I paint all over his thumb because I was careless. So we're gonna have to repaint his thumb. That's okay. That's not the worst. What bottle is this from? He is from the game Warcrow. He is a war augur from the Mount Haven faction. And I picked him up at Adepticon because they had all the Mount Haven stuff there early in March. But all the Mount Haven stuff was just released today, is my understanding. Today was the street date for public release. And we've been painting him for a little bit because I bought him at Adepticon, so I've had him for a little bit. But we started painting him last stream, and we're gonna try and finish most of him this stream. But we'll see. We'll see how far we get. It might be another stream. But yeah, they're really, really cool. The Mount Haven models are all really nice. Yeah, Warcrow's got a lot of really cool interpretations of what their kind of the aesthetics of their different factions are, and yeah, they're pretty sweet. All right, we're gonna set this aside for now, and we're going to open up our Discord and take a look at what people have been painting. Oh, we got it. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong Discord. There we go. Works in progress. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, so let us pop over to screen share, and we're going to jump in here. So this is from Snicks. It's working on a lizard man with some non-metallic metal. Love the green, love the turquoise jade. That looks really cool. Love the orange and the purple for the scales. Non-metallic metal looks really nice. Yeah, this is going the right direction, absolutely. We've got our directional light here. We've got our environmental reflections here. We've got some bounce light off the ground here and here. That's good. We've got more directional light from back here. Yeah, this is looking really nice. This is good. This is going the right direction. It's definitely starting to read as metal. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely, you can find a link to the Discord in my bio. Absolutely, it is open. Let's pop over here. Oh, there's some nice. Yeah, that's looking good too. See, you can definitely see in comparison to like the more matte areas of the model, like the scales and everything. You can see how much more dramatic the highlighting and shadowing is, and that helps this read as a different material from this. That's good. That's exactly what should be doing. Nice, good job. And next we have Dire Avenger, I think. I could be wrong, but I like this. I love the vibrant reds, nice clean looking whites. Really nice teal turquoise blues. Yeah, those look great. That looks nice. All right, Resident X Girly. Your Sisters of Battle. It's such a fun model. It's so ridiculous, but it's fun. Exorcist. I like the colors. Lisa Frank threw up. That's okay. That's just fine. Yeah, I can't wait to see what these look like with their fanny packs and all of this army being done. That's gonna be really cool. Yeah, here's more. Woo! Definitely seeing that. Okay. Gigado. Go-do. Oh, that's a cool little dude. Oh, he looks sad. It's like a robot businessman in his button-up shirt and his tie. Oh, little grot. Love that pose. Where's the model from? Which model? Are we talking about this one? I have no idea where this is from. I don't think this person's in the stream. The building? What, this? This is an exorcist. This is actually a tank. This is a this is a missile launching tank, and guess where the missiles come out of? They come out of the pipes up here. So this Sister of Battle is basically a battle nun, okay? This is Warhammer 40,000, so it's absolutely over the top. But she's sitting in here playing on the organ, sing a hymn to the Emperor, and while she's doing that, she is launching missiles out of a vertical launch system built into the organ. Which is hysterical. Like, the entire idea of The Exorcist is hysterical. It's just a rolling church organ / MLRS launcher. Girls just want to have fun. Exactly. Girls just want to have fun. Launch, 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 launch. Ooh, look at that. That's a motorbike with skull smoke. That's pretty cool. It's almost like the Akira motorcycle. But I recognize this, but I don't recognize either of these models. But those are looking cool. I can't wait to see those finished. That's going to be awesome. Cool. If anybody else has anything to post or works in progress, go ahead and do that. We're going to pop over to completed projects and see how we're doing. Yes, under the same name, Useless Wizard. Okay. So here, Dig Batty. I don't know if you're still here or not.
Welcome. Make yourself at home.
Oh, there you are, Dig Batty. Hey, thank you. Welcome on over. A 28mm wizard. Do not like painting this small scale. The text a combination of decals from GW and Gridfather's Nomos Workshop. Awesome. Yeah. I would not want to be painting that small either, so decal definitely seems like it'd be worth it. I like the green glow effect you've got on the book. So for example, here is what the miniature looks like from the back. Here's what the mini looks like from the front. That is about the size of a quarter. It's probably a 25mm base, which is about an inch, and a quarter is about an inch across. Yeah, it is. 28mm is very, very small. I agree, but I like what you've got here. The colors are obviously fantastic. I love the green glow. The use of the decals is really nice. Well done there. And of course, red hair. I'm a sucker for red hair. And Dig Bad, you also did a Thousand Sun Ducky. Another Epic Ducks. Epic Ducks. Very cool. That looks great. I like that we went with the yellow duck instead of like a different type of duck. It's just nice and straightforward with like a rubber ducky from the bathtub. I might end up doing that with my Rainbow Warrior duck and my Nurgle duck. Just make them like the yellow duck butt. But these look great. That's the first Thousand Suns model you've ever done. Well, you did a bang-up job. Well done. That is a worthy rubric Marine and or aspiring sorcerer. You're working on a Yarick duck? That's awesome. Yarick duck is going to be really cool. Okay, so I don't see anything else posted to works in progress while we were doing this, already completed projects. If you end up adding in anything later on during the stream, let me know, and we can pop back to there to check that out. But thank you all for submitting all of your works in progress so far. I very much appreciate it. Welcome on in, Hey, AD Creations, how are you doing? Rocketeer, thank you again for the follow over on Twitch. Appreciate it. Welcome on into the great library. Pull up a chair, join the discussion as you already have, or just sit back, relax, whatever you want to do. Whatever you choose. I'm glad you're here. Thank you again for the follow. And thank you everybody else for the likes. Thank you all for the likes on the TikToks. The more likes we get, the more the stream is pushed out to people who may have never seen miniature painting. So I very much appreciate it. It's never expected, always appreciated. But it's always a treat to be able to show people miniature painting when they've maybe never seen it before. So it's why we're here. Answer questions, introduce people to mini painting, just even the general just concept of it. And then have a good time with everybody else who's here. Doing good. Just putzing around a bit, debating if I want to break the paint out for a bit. Otherwise, entertaining a rabbit hole. Oh, interesting. Yeah, breaking out paint is never a bad thing unless it's going to distract you too much from the rabbit. It's kind of important. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is work on the shoulder designs here. So we've got the non-metallic metal from this angle. So we want to respect other reflections here as well. So we're gonna start mapping out where these reflections are going to be in general. You know, went off of this is a model of you, huh? Yeah. You know, I mean, I gotta, you know, if he's gonna be bold and if he's gonna have an epic beard, and if he's gonna be a dwarven wizard of sorts, of course he's gonna have to be painted up like me. Like, it would be a shame. It would be a crime not to. Right? Like, tell me I'm wrong. I can be wrong, that's okay. He's got a big beard, I'm gonna paint it red. If he's bald, I'm gonna paint him bald. No. You gotta, sometimes you gotta see yourself in the art, right? Just wait till there will be glitter and tiny bubbles coming out of the pipe organ. That's gonna be awesome. Heavily debated on doing the Niriki-san painting competition. I've never heard of that. Is that, where and what is that? I've never heard of that painting competition. Of course, there's so many popping up that it's not a surprise that I haven't heard of all of them. Okay. Erickson. Okay, yeah, no, we're absolutely link friendly in the chat. Go for it. Just ask that whatever you post is work appropriate. It's not safe for work, and that it is TOS appropriate. Because otherwise we'll lose all the privileges. And that would be very, very sad. Nice. Thank you. I will check that out later. trying to get this to read a little bit better without destroying too much here. Gotta reestablish some of these dark lines again. I think there are a couple spots where the highlight's just not quite there enough. I'm trying to lock in here, so I'm going to be a little quiet. I think I'm missing a couple of things. My ratios seem to be a little off. It's better. Better, but not exactly where I need it to be for this. I logged in as a viewer too somehow, yeah. Hopefully it's not been too boring. Started getting closer to the monitor and stuff. I gotcha. Just trying to adjust things here and there to get the shapes to read. It was too thin and too watery to be. Under here there's a fold, and you can see the dark line there, and that means that there's a crease or a highlight here, so I want that highlight to be reflected in this geometry here too. So I'm trying to make sure that that the highlight here is also catching on this, and then trying to make it consistent. Because one of the big things about non-metallic metal is consistent lighting. So Orion Minis did a really good video on this. I think it was today, or I saw it today. She may have published it yesterday, but I'm pretty sure I was one of the first people to see it. But she was talking about her Lizardman project right now, and the consistency in lighting, and treating an area as if it's a solid, and having the light travel across multiple phases that are close together, multiple faces that are close together in a similar manner. So here I've got light reflecting off of these sections up here, even though they are separated by a round of light right here, and it's the same across all three of these sections and down here. So I'm trying to make it consistent. These different reflections, I'm trying to make them consistent across the different faces. Like I need to add a little bit of highlight here to make this section consistent, because that consistency across those faces will really help the different surfaces to read as reflective, because they're all really close to one another and they're all going to reflect light in a very similar way. So making sure that all of that reads together is pretty important. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. On it, because she does a pretty good job of explaining it as well. But let's say okay, let's take a look at this model with his non-metallic steel, right? You see how the light travels down his leg, and it travels down the leg consistently, because this is how light would reflect off of a cylinder. Now, if I was trading each one of these sections differently, I might have the highlight be in a slightly different spot each time. But because they're all connected to one another, I should treat this all as a single cylinder without each individual section. And then when I've done that, I'm treating the entire leg as a cylinder, and then I can come in here and I can separate out all the different spots. I can separate out each individual plate of armor, instead of highlighting them completely separately, divorced from everything else, divorced from their neighbors. I'm painting them as if it's a single piece. Same thing with this arm. So I've got each finger here, and then it comes up to the hand pauldron, then it comes to the forearm, and then the next portion. So this is the back of the gauntlet, the forearm, the elbow, and then it goes up into the shoulder. I'm treating this all as a single piece rather than each one as an individual piece isolated from everything else. So I'm envisioning the highlight traveling all the way up and down this arm, and then I paint it that way, and then I separate each thing out. Does that make a little bit more sense with what I was talking about here? I'm looking at this as a single piece with that's not split up into different small sections. So I'm like, I've got my highlight here and it covers up all of these different areas. I've got my highlight here, it covers up all of these areas. I've got my highlight here, it covers up all of these different areas, and then I can make sure that they're distinct from one another as well. But because they're all so close together, I should treat them as a single object rather than multiple small objects. Making sense, I think. That's some gorgeous non-metallic work. Hey, thank you, Warrior. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I really enjoy non-metallic metal. It can be a bear, but there's something that I really enjoy about it. Even with just doing like more tabletop or non-competition level non-metallic metal like I typically do. It's a blast. Like, I enjoy it because it really helps me feel like I'm understanding light a little bit better, and that's a big thing. That's helped me with a lot of my other painting, is feeling like I understand light to a higher degree than I did before. And so I enjoy explaining my thought process, because that means that it becomes more solid in my head. Because if you can teach something, then you can actually feel like you understand it to your to a certain degree, right? Because if you can't teach it, that means you're not explaining it well, and that's either a problem with your conception and how and maybe you don't have a clear conception of what and why you're doing what you're doing, or it's an issue with communication, both of which could be worked on. So I like being able to explain things because it helps me be confident that I understand at least my own brain about how this works. I've always painted non-metallic metal on armor per section of the armor. No wonder they look a little off. Yeah, it's entirely possible. That's entirely possible. Now, you could still paint them as many different sections, right? You could still do that, but just make sure those sections are harmonious with one another. So this is another example of a Death Watch Space Marine that we did with glossy black armor, not quite non-metallic metal, but still use the same principle. And then he's got his reflective, our shoulder pad here, and we've got our main highlight here, and then for this bin we've got our highlight here, and then this highlight travels down the arm there, right? And so we're trying to keep in mind the same lights hitting all of these, and because they're all close together, that it should be they should be thought of very similarly. Thank you. I'm very proud of this model. I think I did a darn good job with this, and I've got a whole bunch more Death Watch Marines that I want to put together and paint to this level. But I was very happy with this guy. I'm very proud of him. Let's see, what's another... Okay, so let's take a look at this guy, right? Let's take a look at our little dwarf here, and maybe we can have an in-progress example of this. So I want his shield to be gold, right? Because he's a dwarf. We want some gold. I'll probably do some steel in certain parts, but like the decoration is gonna be gold. But the decoration's covered up in a whole bunch of different spots, right? It's got a whole bunch of different designs. So I've got a couple ways that I can approach this. I can start working on each one of these sections completely separately, highlighting them completely separately, but making sure that the highlights make sense with all the sections next to it. Or I can go in and let's see, where do I have the light coming from? Here, there. Okay, so we're gonna have one highlight over in here, or I can come in here and just go over everything, and then spread, and then you know, afterwards, then I can start divvying things up. But what this lets me do is it just lets me go in and not worry too much about, you know, keeping everything super separate, because I don't want everything to be super separate right now. I want, right now I'm mapping out where light is going to be. And I do want this to be a little separate, so I'm going to go back in with my dark brown, and we're just going to separate that out a little bit. Then we can come in with our ochre here. And we're going to concentrate more light right here in the center of where that ochre was. And then we're going to have some light down here from the bounce light from the ground. And then we'll have light from in behind as well. And now I'm at this point, right? So at this point I can start looking at, I've got my main light sources kind of mapped out. And I've got a light coming here, and bounce light off the ground, right? And now what I can do is, because I have where my main highlights are going to be, I can just come in here and I can start looking at, okay, so the light will catch here on these edges, so I can start picking out different areas, and I can start refining them individually rather than kind of as a corporate, as a whole, because I've already got my main light source across everything else. That's already kind of picked out. I can come in here and I can just start, okay, light's gonna reflect from that direction. It's gonna, all these hard edges are gonna have light reflecting off of them, because metallic stuff reflects light from all over the place. So we need to make sure that we're representing these hard edges as catching light from all over and bouncing it all over as well. So we got this lower lip here, and it's going to catch some light from underneath and then also from the side. And that's just because it's got a change in geometry. It's got a change in the shape, the direction of the metal, and that change in geometry catches light. It always catches light. If you look at any bend in metal, you'll see that that bend kind of stands out. And that's because that bend is catching light from all around it and reflecting that into your eyes. So you can see that bend in the metal because the light is changing, the way it's reflecting is changing. So we simulate that by making sure there's an edge highlight on most of those. And then we can come in with our, because this is a bigger area, I'm going to do a intermediate mix between the ochre and my pale yellow. I want something kind of in between those, just because it's a bigger jump. We can come in here and start putting down that pale yellow in kind of more, or this mix in the center of a lot of these. And this will keep be getting built up into brighter and brighter as we go. All right, so it's not as bright right now, but it'll be brighter later. Fireball. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hey Cascaboom, how are you doing? Send you one of my work for you to look at. Need your thoughts on it? Yeah. No worries. I'm gonna snooze here real quick. Okay, I'm gonna definitely try implementing these because I don't think I've ever painted non-metallic with a light source in mind. Yeah, you have to have a light source, and you know, at least you need to have a direction of light in mind in order for it to be consistent. Now, does it need to be like fully accurate? Does it need to be like true to physics? Only to a certain extent. As long as you're consistent with the direction of light, if you're only using one, then it'll still read as metal. Right, it'll still read properly, but if it's not consistent, then you're across, you know, the same type of section or the same type of surface on the model. Then it's gonna read as very confused and it's gonna read as off. Like part of me thinks this should be shiny, but it doesn't look shiny because I'm not entirely certain why. It's like, oh. It's because nothing looks like it's actually reflecting light. So, you know, you don't need to have a completely 100% accurate, you know, a source of light, but it should be consistent if you're only using one. And then, you know, once you get used to that, you can start doing that, and then you can start working with like multiple sources of light. Like I'm working with 3 here. And it just gets a little bit more complicated, but as long as you practice with just one and things like that, you know, you'll get it. It'll make a lot more sense. But yeah, I'd be happy to take a look. 100%. Cascaboom, how are you doing? Nice to see you. I know we haven't seen you in a little bit. I hope you're doing well. And for those of you who don't know, you can use your channel points to trigger different sound alerts. So if there's, you know, there's some funny ones there, but also if I move the model off of screen and I don't notice, you can yell at me with that. It doesn't cost any money. It's just runes that you earn by just watching. So there's no bits or anything like that needed for it. But we've got some pretty good ones. And always on the lookout for more, you know, sound bites to add, because I enjoy having those there. In fact, my favorite one is from What We Do in the Night.
We drank the blood of some people, but the people were on drugs. And now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. We drank the blood of some people, but the people were on drugs. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard.
I really enjoy that one. But yeah, we've got several. It's definitely a gym, right? It's fun. We're supposed to have fun, right? Streaming's supposed to be enjoyable, entertaining, educational. And I may not be the most lively and entertaining person, but I try to have some fun things in here, and I mostly just try to educate. But if we can have fun things too, and kind words and encouragement, that's what I want. That's what I want to be able to provide. I was never the class clown. I'm not a brilliant conversationalist. I'm an excellent listener, as most introverts are. But if I can educate and if I can give you kind words, gosh darn it, that's what I'm gonna do. I look away for a few minutes, it looks amazing already. Yeah, and see, thank you. Thank you. But you can see that instead of having to go into every tiny little piece and painting them separately, if I map out where all the light is at first, then I can go in and, you know, I can do the rest of that work fairly quickly. This is also just lots of practice, right? But I can do the rest of this work fairly quickly, and it still reads, it's consistent, because I've mapped out where that light is across all of these details, and then I come back in and I refine, I add in shadow, I push in the highlights where the different edges are. I'm refining, and that refinement helps define everything after I've kind of pointed out or defined where the major highlights are to start with. And same thing happens with like chainmail, right?
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives
Precisely what it means to. Hey, welcome on in. Thank you so much for the raid. Painty Paint Paints, how was your stream? What'd you work on? So this is the Augur player character from Curse City. And if you look at how much chainmail he has on him, instead of painting each ring of chainmail as non-metallic metal, I treated the entire coat in each section of chainmail as its own shape, right? And then I kind of lightly dry brushed the non-metallic metal covers over those areas as if it was just a smooth cylinder or something similar, instead of doing each and every single chain. And it was the same type of same thing with these individual armor plates. I imagined all of these as a single cylinder and painted them in, and then I defined them each separately. Same thing down here. And it ends up making everything look unified. So it's just another example of, you know, this type of thing is treating an entire section and an entire arm or leg as one section or one geometric shape, and then cutting out all of the details later to make it faster and easier to do non-metallic metal. That's pretty and super clean. Hey, thank you so much, Painty. I appreciate that. What were you working on? What was your stream? Working on the ReaperCon entry and the Chibi site. Ooh, very cool. I think she's going to the side for a bit and then see how I feel about it next week and on to the next. I think that's usually a good idea. Like, oftentimes I'll be working on a piece, whether it's for competition or whether it's for something else, and I just can't see it anymore, right? Like, I see nothing but the problems, but also I get so caught up in where it is now that I don't see other areas of deficiency. I also don't see where I've done really well, and it all just becomes kind of a blur, and I just can't see it anymore. So putting it down and, you know, giving your brain a rest for a while, fantastic idea. That's good. And just work on something else for a little bit. This is what we've been working on for most of stream. This is the War Augur from the Mount Haven faction of Warcrow, and we've been working on getting him as finished up as we can this stream, so maybe next stream we'll have him done, but you know, painting him up to look like an incredibly handsome painter here on the interwebs. Yeah, it becomes a drop it. Yeah, exactly. Cascaboom says, I've been good, just doing the dad thing and going to school and taking a few months to paint and learn non-metallic metal. Awesome, Cascaboom. No, that you're doing the responsible thing, right? You're doing the dad thing. That's huge. That's huge. So good for you. Just a heads up, everybody who just came in, we are taking a break in about a minute. It's a 3 to 5 minute break, but if you're here for the first time, my name is Useless Wizard. I am a wizard of useless magic and a painter. I was kicked out of the Wizard School of Magic because I'm a useless wizard. They obviously didn't want me teaching kids for whatever reason. So they sent me down here to the Great Library of Magic, where I act as kind of a librarian, keeping students and visitors like yourselves safe while they're here in the library, and hopefully also entertained or answering questions, things like that. I specialize in miniature painting, color theory, all that fun stuff. Outside of the Great Library, I've been streaming since 2018. I've been painting miniatures since I was 15, so it was about 26 to almost 27 years ago. I've been working on becoming a better and better painter since 2018, and I teach painting classes at both locally and at multiple conventions around the US, and yeah, we have a good time. I stream to educate, and I stream to answer questions and encourage people in their miniature painting. I am not some kind of painting god. I don't make myself out to be that. I don't try to be that. I want to be here to encourage people to grow and encourage people in their journey to become whatever kind of miniature painter they want. And so I make myself available here twice a week to answer questions, to offer encouragement. We do a community spotlight every Friday where people submit their stuff that they've been working on over the week, and then we just tell them how awesome and how good of a job they're doing. If they want feedback, they have to specifically ask for that, but we do that. Now, we've got an ad starting here in just a couple seconds, so we're going to set this down, prop this here. You're very welcome, Rocketeer. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you were able to ask some questions. So we're going to go ahead and take our break now. We'll be back in about 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you in just a moment. Okie dokie. We're back. Thank y'all for sticking around. Those of you who did. Those of you that already headed out, I hope you have a wonderful night. You're already gone, so you're not going to hear that, but I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you for being here. Katie Loohoo! It's nice enough to have my windows open, dude, but the college kids, those darn kids are getting on your lawn. They're making a ruckus. Don't make her laugh too hard. She'll laugh. Yeah. We'll be careful. How dare they? Right? How dare they? How dare the youths have a good time? How dare it not be considerate of those of us who are higher level than they. Heckin' youths. Heckin' youths. Alright, yeah, we're back already. I didn't want to take too long. My cat was being very needy though. Like, she climbed up onto her scratching post and was meowing at me, and I walked over to her, and so she just reached up and climbed up onto my shoulders. Like, oh, you're being really needy today. Okay, I'm going to stand here and make sure you get your lovings. So, got a little distracted, but that's okay, because she deserves it. We hating on college kids? I mean, not all of them. They're not all just really dumb fetuses that it shouldn't be out in public yet. Just a lot of them. And I say that as a former college kid. Just graduated last year, so I'm in the clear. Oh, okay, I got you. You have hatched. What did you study? Stands up and wait for knees to crack before taking a step. Yeah. The only things that I cannot stand: 1, people who are intolerant of others; 2, college kids; 3, people from Oregon. I say as a former Oregonian. Hey! You watch yourself. You watch yourself. I'll be passive aggressive like a good Oregonian. They'll give you the Pacific Northwest cold shoulder. You majored in English, linguistics, and literature. Oh, very cool. I did a little bit of English linguistics, but I was focused on English lit and philosophy mostly. Those were, I double majored in English lit and philosophy. And now I work in financial tech, so, you know, that's fun. But my original plan was to go to seminary, actually. Ended up not applying to that because life got in the way. And that's okay. Life plans change. But I still very much enjoy reading and listening to people talk about linguistics and especially dialect differences and how words change and how pronunciation changes over time. I find that really fascinating. Cracks knees, shift to left or right. Sorry, do you do the art tags here? Oh, do I require? You are welcome to post your art. We are link friendly, so but it's not a tax. It is not a tax per se, but you are welcome to post whatever art you do here. Yeah, that's Katie. You're attacking me at this point. I live in Monmouth and Salem for 7 years. I earned my right to talk all this shit. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Dude, I went to seminary and now I work as operations manager at a mint. Really? Oh, Angry Grizzly, that's really cool. How did you get into working at a mint? That's interesting. And did you finish seminary? Did you get your MDiv or whatever you're going for? And then it just kind of like life took a different path, or did you end up not finishing seminary? 'Cause, I mean, that's not a fast program. Depending on which seminary you're going to, what the program is. Those are not fast. Of course, a lot of people have to take them part-time. They can't go full-time. So a lot of people end up taking, going to seminary for, 7 years or whatever before they're done. Got a Master of Arts in Theological Studies. Oh, very cool. Making silver coins. What's it meant? Yeah, it's that's the art from stream. Oh, cool. Well, we will take a look at that. Yeah, like an actual mint, like making coins. Now, is this a U.S. mint, or is this like another country's mint, or is this more like a mint that's making commemorative coins? Like what happened there? I got a job as a melt operator in Vegas and moved to... Wow! That's interesting. Yes, that is where mint condition comes from, because it's the condition as it's left the mint. It is as perfect as it can be, as perfect it's as perfect as if it was just made. That is the where the term mint condition comes from. Yeah. See, that's really cool. Like that's where learning things like linguistics, but also word etymology and things like that. It makes language so much more interesting because you know more about. I don't know. I think that the more you learn about the world, yes, it can be more and more confusing, and yes, you realize how little you understand about the world, but it adds so much more nuance to your experience of the world when you understand more about how the world seems to function, whether that's science or math or language or economics. The more you educate yourself about how we think things work, the more you see how interconnected and how complex and beautiful the world is. And I think that's amazing, and that's why I love learning about that kind of stuff. I just can't be a student for the rest of my life, like an official student. You should always be a student. Always be learning. Always be curious. It's like, don't know why air conditioning works? Well, go learn it, and then you'll figure out, then you'll understand how a bunch of other machinery works, and how your refrigerator works, and all these other things. It's all interconnected. You'll have a greater appreciation for how the world functions when you understand more bits and pieces of how it works. And I think that's amazing and wonderful. At one point, we were making the silver blanks for the U.S. Mint. Okay, but then you got poached by a mining company to open a mint in Vegas. Oh, very cool. So you're doing okay, very cool. That's awesome. What circle of life? Is that something... Not my plan, but it's been good. Good. Excellent. All right, we're going to set this down for now. We're going to go take a look at what Painty Paints was painting. This little chibi. Oh, that's cool. Okay, screen share. Oh, this is cool. I love the colors. Ooh, you got some very colorful, non-metallic, but let me zoom in. I like that you've got colorful, non-metallic metal. You've got the steel blue, but you also got the reflections of her hair in the metal. Bounce lights, bounce reflections like that are super important. Super important for making non-metallic metal read. Where can I know I'm going to cheat here. We're going to go into clip. We're going to clip that. Now we zoom in. Now we zoom in more. See, you've got your shadow, and then it goes into some pink for the reflection of the hair, and then it goes into the rest of the steel up here. Very nice. She's adorable. Oh, love the wooden base. She's an adorable mini. Again, I really like the colors. It is very analogous. You've got your blue, then your purple, then going into your warm color. So it's kind of it's almost a gradient. You've almost got a gradient going here. That looks really cool. Let's see. Lips, eyes look great. Nice mascara, nice makeup, good dark lining. Her blouse is really cute. Her boots are adorable. Her belt is awesome. Yeah, this looks great. I love this. That's great. And from behind, love that you got some multiple different colors. You've got the edge highlighting on the purple is done with the blue. That's really nice. It's higher in value, so it works as an edge highlight, but it also helps. It also helps relating to relate to the feather. That's awesome. I like that. Got more of the pink here. Very cool. This is great. It's very nice. Hey, happy to take on the Raiders. Happy to take on the Raiders. Thank you for sharing that. That is fantastic. Yeah, she's beautiful. My mom had a note card above the kitchen sink that read, "Want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans." Yeah, that's very true. Just like, that's adorable. But there's nothing wrong with having plans. I'm being clear with that. Nothing wrong with having plans, but life rarely ends the way we planned it to be, and that can be a really good thing. That is not necessarily a negative thing by any means. But it does mean, the only constant is change. So be ready to roll with the punches, adapt to your circumstances. That is all very important life skills to have. The only one thing that likes change is a wet baby. That is true. Although, the amount they cry when they're getting changed, you know, probably appreciate it afterwards, but the process of getting changed is often not enjoyable for any party involved. I'll catch up on chat here in just a second. Everybody, I'm kind of on a roll here. At least I feel like I am. I don't want to interrupt that too badly. Oh, I've got way too much moisture on my brush. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully those days are well behind me. Did I hear correctly that you went to seminary? No, I was planning on going to seminary. I did not end up going to seminary. I suppose I still could, but I'm 42, so, I mean, it's not like I have time to go to seminary. And I don't really feel called to go to seminary anymore. I'm fine as a layperson. But I still read and I still study. Not just scripture and things like that, but also, you know, science and math, and try. I'm really bad at math, so I try, but I'm really bad at math. But linguistic stuff like that, I find all of that fascinating. I try to continually learn. Going back to get your PhD? Hey, that's not a bad reason to go back. Ain't a good reason, not a bad reason to go back at all. I think I do much better in school and university now than I did when I was going, because man, I got senioritis in my junior year, like, or even my sophomore year, because I ended up putzing. Like, I started college at community college early because I homeschooled, so I started it early, finished high school in college. And then I did most of an English lit degree, and then took my first philosophy course, and was like, I want to study this. And so started my bachelor's in philosophy and finished that, and then looked back at English and was like, oh, I just have to take like 3 more classes. All right, I'll finish that too. So I was in college for a long time. I was very full of senioritis by the end of it. Like, I just couldn't focus anymore. I couldn't even force myself to focus. It was so awful. So definitely did not end up continuing on to school, because I was just like, nah, I'm done. I'm done. I don't wanna. I don't study as much as I used to, but life kind of knocked me down, trying to pick me back up. Hey, don't even worry about it. Study when you can, study what you can, focus on the real, immediate needs of life. If you were meant to, or if you wanted to, like, not focus on the immediate needs of life or the immediate concerns of life, you could have gone to a monastery, right? But even they couldn't get rid of all of it. So, you know, we gotta focus on what we're doing, what's going on with our lives now, and then we can go back to the higher things later on, right? Can't study the higher things if the lower things are killing you. The lobe of the frontal is fully. Yeah, exactly. I know this feeling. Sleep now calls me. Be safe, you awesome wizard. And this guy is cute. Thank you, Painty Paint Paints. Appreciate that. Minty calling me to bed, and Kitty needs treats. Absolutely. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you for the raid. Shoot, I got senioritis in high school. I managed to pull a .8 GPA my first year of college. Took some major effort to pass my bachelor's. Well, good for you. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's why I make sure to take a break every hour. One of the things I'm doing is making sure my cat's getting attention, because otherwise she's gonna scratch a hole through the door. Gotta make sure our feline overlords are taken care of, else we shall suffer consequences. Okay, so I know that looks metallic. I know that looks reflective, but does it look right? Does it look okay? I think maybe more intense highlights. I think here it looks all right, but it's also just like, well, I've got light coming from the top, got light coming off from the sides. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. But there's part of me that's like, yeah, that looks great. There's part of me that's like, something's off. Maybe the shadows aren't deep enough, or where the gold touches gold is off. Yeah, there may not be enough separation. Let's see something here. Now, are you talking about like this shoulder pad that the shadows aren't deep enough, or because it's the same color as all the others? Maybe some of the shadows just aren't big enough. and they're a little too small. I can go a little bit brighter, but no, the final. I mean, I can build it up a little bit more, but I've gone all the way up to pale yellow, which is an off white. I don't like going all the way to white if I don't have to, because just it so desaturates everything. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to do there. Oh, do you have any plans for putting any interest in for next Adepticon? Yeah, I need to stop procrastinating and starting so late. But yeah, I'd like to put something in for Golden Demon again. I want to put something in for Miniatures as Art. The Worthy is doing their Star Wars based mini painting competition, so I'd like to put something in there. I mean, I'd like to put something into at least a few different painting competitions this year. The last couple years I've only done the Golden Demon, and I got a notable pin the last 2 years, which is great. In Golden Demon, I feel really good about that. But you know, I'd like to try it. I'll try something new and push it a little bit farther. Yeah. I feel that as far as I'm not starting too late, but I'm just starting to make sure, trying to make sure I can make it next year. Yeah, that'd be great. It's a lot. It's a lot to prep for, and it's really hard. It would be really hard to paint if you're not sure if you're going to go, just because the amount of work that it takes, the amount of time you kind of have to sink into it. Oh my god, the amount of time you'd have to sink into it to make sure that you're got a decent entry. And if you're not sure if you're gonna go, it's hard to justify sinking that much time into a single entry when you're not certain you're gonna go. Like that makes total sense. Yo man, what's poppin'? I'm doing well. How are you doing? I can't remember what the rest of that is. Not much, man. It's something. I can't remember. Sorry. I'm old. Yeah, no, it's going well. We're getting close to this guy being done. We're probably going to call it here in a couple minutes for the rest of the stream. We'll be done here in just a couple minutes. We have the scales to do, and then we have the base to do, and then we have his book to do. Yeah, we'll stick around for a little bit longer. We'll stick around for a little bit longer, but we usually go from about 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to about 9 Pacific Standard Time, and it's almost 9 o'clock right now, but we can go for a little bit longer, maybe do some steel. It's no worries. Looks good, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with him. We started him from just primed last stream on Tuesday, and this is where he is this time. So we've done a really, really decent job of going fairly quick and trying to be, kind of efficient with the time. Because I mean, if I went all out on a mini, if I was going all out on a mini, I could spend 50 hours easy on a mini, and I don't have time for that, right? So trying to work on ways to do things like non-metallic metal and decent base coats and highlights and everything quicker, so they can have higher quality tabletop quality minis. Yeah, in tabletop, time. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on myself, and I think it's going okay. Yeah. Yeah, for those of you who had just found the !read command, we are a magical library, so of course we've got books, but the !read command allows you to summon a book at random from the archive, and these books are books that other visitors to the library have found in their searches. And the way you do your own search is !search. You will wander the stacks and see if you can find yourself a lost tome. If you do find a lost tome, you are able to tell us the title of the tome, the author, and maybe a short blurb about what it's about. And we add that to the archive, and then later on, if somebody does !read, they may pull your book. It's a way of adding your own little touch to the library. Are they real books, IRL? No, they're just titles. It's just a fun little game. I do want to add more to it, but there's some pretty complicated things that I want to do it. It requires scripting, and I would need to have someone who understands scripting to work through it, or I'd have to use ChatGPT or Claude to do it. And I'm not the biggest fan of AI. So I'd rather not, but, you know. I think AI is very useful for a lot of things. But I hesitate to use it for coding because I don't code. And I wouldn't know if it's good code or if it's bad code, efficient code. Because it's not terribly known for making like super solid code. I think it could be a really useful tool for programmers and developers who already know what they're doing or have a good basis, and so they can sanitize it and make sure that it's, yeah, this is actually good code. I can't do that. Oh, so Katie Luhu, you rummaging hands uncover an ancient tome. From beneath the top cover, a line of drool runs to the dusty floor. Adrenaline floods your body when the mimic leaps, and your library-issued dagger sinks deep into the monster's body. Backing away from the shuddering corpse, you know one less danger waits in the depths of the Great Library. Well done. Slayer. You walk among the towering shelves of the Great Library and select an interesting book to read. The book is Combustion Repercussion, our son's final catalog of explosive runes. It appears the second half of the book is missing and there's several singed pages. Yep, that's appropriate. I did hear about somehow Claude being instructed accidentally to delete an entire company's database. Yeah. See, that's why you need somebody. That's why you still need a human in charge who knows what they're doing, rather than just somebody who's been vibe coding forever and doesn't actually know what they're doing. That's like letting the intern loose in your Linux servers with the new knowledge of the root command. Like, I know enough that you don't root, okay, unless you know exactly what you're doing. I know that much about Linux. I don't know that much about Linux, but I know that much. And it's just like, man, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have any business vibe coding, using AI, any of that stuff. Don't do that. Was the other? Yeah, Katie found a mimic. In fact, I don't know. Where are my emojis? Mimics in the loose. Mimics are loose in the chat. Run! Save yourselves! Yeah, didn't it take like 8 seconds? Or like just like 30 seconds to delete the entire database? Like, how do you recover from that? Like, hopefully they have backups, but my understanding was that they like got rid of everything. How does a company recover from something like that if they don't have backups? You have to rebuild everything from scratch. That could take years. A 3-month-old backup. Oh, thank God. At least it was only 3 months, but Jesus. Was it like an off-site on a physical drive backup? I wonder. I could see that be done only on a quarterly basis. And then just completely air-gapped and stored somewhere in safekeeping. Like nothing touches this. I back when I worked in tech support, I was worked with some QuickBooks support. I was a QuickBooks support person, and I worked with a hospital who did daily backups, which is great, but all the backups were done on magnetic tape. So their daily backups were on magnetic tape drives. So when I said, hey, we need to go back to a backup that you had like last week and see if that's still good, he had to go to the vault and get the magnetic tape from last week, from like one of the days last week, and bring it and then run it and see if they could restore from that. And just like, what the okay, I mean, it's secure, I guess, just, you know. And then for some companies, even if they're using Amazon Web Services, it is faster for Amazon to send them a petabyte drive, for them to load their backups of their information onto this petabyte drive, and then have that petabyte drive physically driven to the data center and uploaded that way. That is faster than uploading things over the internet, because some of these companies are so big. Some of these companies are so big that they generate so much data that there's no internet connection that has the bandwidth to upload a petabyte in a reasonable amount of time to act as a backup system. Oh, magnetic tape drives? What the fuck is that? Well, I mean, they're spools of magnetic tape, and data is stored on the magnetic tape in ones and zeros with varying levels of polarity. So like positive charge, negative charge, and it's put on that. And unless you don't mean like literally what is that, but hey, you know, some people, they still, you know, they have old backup systems, and as long as it works, right? It may not be efficient, but as long as it works. But that was a trip. Supporting that person was a trip. Good evening. Hey Tong, how are you doing? No way, bro. They don't still use it. I mean, some companies, at least some companies did. I don't know if they still do. I don't know for certain, but this hospital certainly did. And I mean, there are ways to use it that there are reasons why you might use it. If you don't want to do backup over the internet, like if you're worried that you need to do a backup or restore a backup when like the internet is down or something like that, you'd use something like but you could use something like a large drive instead of magnetic tape. So I don't know. But also, completely changing a backup system or completely changing an integral system is incredibly complicated, incredibly painful process. Just, you know. So maybe they just never updated because it's like, yeah, it's going to cost way too much money to update this and way too much downtime. We're not doing it. We're just going to let it ride. Some people do that. Yeah. Exactly. Super old like 007 007 shit. For real. Hey, come get some. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for dropping by. Hope everybody's doing okay on this beautiful Friday night. We're closing in on being almost done here. At least for tonight. Still some stuff left to do on the mini for certain. Things like the base, the book, stuff like that. But overall, he's really close to being done, which I am very happy with. I'm pretty proud of him. I think he looks pretty good for the amount of time that we put in on him, which has only been 2 streams so far. Oh, did you find a lost book? Okay, a lost book means that you, in your search, have recovered one of the lost books. So you get to tell us what the name of the book is and what it's about and who wrote it. Now, you don't have to do a whole lot. You can just give us a title, an author, and maybe a short blurb about what it's like. But if you want examples, you can type in !read, or you can see what other people got when they put an !read, and you can see some examples there. And you don't have to give it to me now if you don't want to, because the stream is getting ready to end. But you can always whisper me here on Twitch, and or otherwise message me on Instagram and give it, or you can wait until next time and give it to me then if you don't want to come up with anything right now. Perfectly fine. But if you have something now, we can do it now too. And some people just give us a title. Some people give us a title and just an author. Some people give us a title, an author, and a blurb. Some people give us a title and a blurb. I think it's much more characterful if it got at least a title and an author and like a sentence about what it's about. It allows more context for funny book names and things like that. What do you guys think about the armor, the scales? I'm not sure what I think about them. I don't think they're quite right. Now, part of it is I don't think I've edge highlighted them properly. Like underneath, I haven't, so I may need to do that. I also think that maybe we're missing too much mid-tone. Well, let me know what y'all think too. The title of the book is Expert's Almanac of Intelligent Perspective by M.T. Head. All right. So I will copy that down and I will get that into the archive ASAP. As soon as I can. So talented. Oh, I appreciate that. I think they're a little less radiant than the yellow of the cloth. I'm not well versed in the alchemy of colors yet, though. Yeah, because they're metal, they do need to be brighter than the cloth. I think maybe continue to push the highlights a little bit more is going to be important, because in order for there's a couple things that make metal look like metal, right? It's the or reflective surfaces, because this works for glass too. It is the it's the ratio of highlight to shadow. So like a reflective surface is going to have a really bright highlight that has a fast transition from highlight to midtone to shadow. Like it's going to be super fast, and the faster it is, the more reflective the surface is and the more polished it is. Whereas cloth and non-reflective materials, they have a slow transition. They've got a slow gradient from one color to the next. And right now, I think you're right that maybe the highlights aren't bright enough, and are maybe not quite where they need to be in terms of shifting from one color to the next. So we can keep pushing the highlights. Now, one thing to keep in mind with miniature paints is as you're painting, as the paint dries, it does fade. Almost every line of acrylics, it does this. The paint fades a little bit. So you put it down and it's very bright, and you think, oh, that's bright enough, and then it fades, and it's like, well, wait a minute, what happened to my highlight? It's not bright anymore. Well, that's just kind of how paint works, right? Just kind of does that. So we can go in and we can make sure that they've got a couple hot spots, and then we've got the upper sections of the upper part of some of these scales has the proper amount of highlight, and we could just reinforce that by painting the highlight over again, just to make it brighter and brighter. Oh, did ads start again? No! I didn't think we were close to ads being time. I didn't think we were close to ads being there. I obviously missed that. We're gonna wait for ads to be done, and then we'll raid out to somebody else. It does look lovely. I appreciate willingness to hear feedback from a novice. Absolutely. No, that's perfectly fine. Like, you know, if I agree, then yes, like, okay, we're gonna work it out. I'm gonna discuss about why I think you're right, or what my perspective is. And if you say something that like, no, I don't agree with that, I'll tell you why. I'm not just gonna say no, that's dumb, because I want to talk through why I'm making certain decisions. And I think that's more valuable to newer painters than me just saying no, right? Me just saying no doesn't give you any information. All it does is give you my rejection, which is not useful for you. And I stream to try and be useful to you, right? That's the reason why I stream. I'm not just streaming to show off. I'm streaming because I want to help to educate. I want to help improve myself, but I also want to help encourage people when they're in their own painting. And part of that is going through why I make certain decisions, or why I agree or why I disagree with a suggestion. And I think that's much better. I guarantee good faith discussion and knowledge as I enjoy participating in a constructive manner. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Feel free to participate to your heart extent, or if you would rather, you can just kick back and relax. That's okay. Does the gold look metallic enough? It might need another punch up. because it's really close. It's really close in value to the yellow. It's brighter in value than yellow, but it might need a touch of white. Maybe. I don't know. I think the placement of the highlights looks right. I think it looks metallic, but it's not quite... I don't know if it's quite bright enough. Alright, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. I completely missed that ads were about to go or break was about to start, and that's entirely my bad. But here is where we are tonight. I think he looks pretty darn good. We got all the non-metallic done. We got the polyhedral done. We got the feather most of the way. I think maybe I want to add some purple at the top. I don't know. We'll see. We got all the scales done. We just finished those. We tightened up some of the shadows by adding in purple, a dark purple into the yellow, and made a darker color there that still had elements of both, so it still blended in as shadow. But now the shadows are darker. We've got a lot more value contrast there to make sure that it looks good. I'm really happy with them. I'm really happy with them. We do need to fix the finger because I got a little bit of paint there, so we need to fix that. We need to do the non-metallic metal on the nib here, and then we need to do the book, right? Got to do the book, and then his base. His shades are giving good guy version of Inquisitor Critman, as in Suckles. Oh, I got you. Now, the funny thing is, if you look down in there, his eyes are actually in there, because these are just supposed to be spectacles. They're not actually supposed to be shades, they're supposed to be spectacles. But my logo is is a stylized version of my beard, my mustache, and my round sunglasses that I wear when I'm out and about on sunny days. So I decided not to paint his eyes. I just blacked in his eyes. So he's definitely got the shades, but I had to make him look like me, right? Yes, absolutely. The hexagonal Pringle, yes, 100%. Dude, if I could wear this outfit, like if I could make this outfit, I would be rocking this. Are you kidding me? I'd be all over the place. I'd be walking around like this all the time. This dude's got drip. He looks amazing. I'm calling it a night. Appreciate the convo. Hey, Angry Grizzly, thanks for being here. We're going to call it a night here too, I think. I really appreciate you being here, man. Have a wonderful rest of your night. All right, let's go find... let's go end the YouTube live stream. So anybody who's still here on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. We will see you later.